Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe and leave a like. It means everything to us. Please share this video with someone you care about and switch on post notifications so you won't miss any future videos. Thank you for always supporting. Now, relax and let's begin. Lucy's mornings began before daylight. She kneaded dough with quiet strength, packed Maya's lunch, wiped Noah's mouth, and still found a way to smile. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and hope, like a home trying to stay alive. Mike used to join her there, stealing meat pies and calling her my woman. Now he returned late, keys jangling like impatience, shirt collar carrying a sharp perfume that wasn't Lucy's. She pretended not to notice because peace felt fragile. But Maya's eyes noticed everything, even when Lucy tried to hide it. That night, Mike dropped his phone on the table and said, "Food?" without greeting. Lucy placed a plate in front of him, hands steady, heart trembling. Noah looked up and sniffed. "Daddy, you smell like auntie," he said innocently. The room froze. Mike's jaw tightened. "Mind your mouth," he snapped. Lucy forced a laugh. "He's a child," she whispered. Mike scoffed, pushing the plate away. "Teach him respect." Lucy swallowed her hurt and carried the plate back to the kitchen, where her tears fell silently into the sink. Mike's affection became something he displayed, not something he gave. He posted family photos, Lucy in the background, kids in front, caption, "My world." But at home, his words were sharp and dry. "Lucy, my shirt. Lucy, the kids." "Lucy, stop asking questions." He backed like she was an assistant. Lucy started writing in an old notebook because speaking out loud only invited insults. She wrote dates, moods, and the little ways she was shrinking. Each page felt like a small breath she was allowed to take. One evening, Mike pulled out his phone and tilted it toward her. "Smile, make we snap," he said brightly. Lucy smiled for the camera, cheeks aching, then watched him upload it instantly. As soon as the phone went down, his face went flat. "Don't disturb me tonight," he warned. Lucy nodded and returned to her notebook. Maya wandered in, holding crayons. "Mommy, why does Daddy smile only for phone?" she asked. Lucy's throat tightened. "Sometimes people forget themselves," she said softly, hugging her. "But we won't forget love." Lucy first saw Carmen at Mike's work event, a small corporate mixer filled with polished shoes and expensive laughter. Lucy had arrived, carrying a tray of mini cupcakes. Mike had asked her to support his networking. Carmen stood close to him, too close, her nails bright, her perfume heavy, her laughter too familiar. "Mike, you didn't tell me your wife bakes," Carmen said, eyes scanning Lucy like an item on a shelf. Lucy forced politeness. "Good evening." Carmen's smile stayed, but it didn't warm. It warned. Later, Lucy watched Carmen touch Mike's arm while speaking, her fingers lingering like ownership. Mike didn't step away. Instead, he laughed, leaning in, enjoying the attention. Lucy's chest tightened as if someone squeezed it. When she approached, Mike's voice changed. "Lucy, go greet Mr. Dawson," he said quickly, pushing her away from the circle. Lucy obeyed because she didn't want a scene. But as she walked off, she heard Carmen's whisper float behind her. "She's quiet. Are you sure she can handle you?" Mike chuckled. "She knows her place." The insult came wrapped like a joke. At a friend's small house gathering, laughter filled the living room while music played softly. Someone praised Mike's new car, and Mike's chest lifted. "Hard work," he said proudly. Then he looked at Lucy and added, "Not everyone can relate. Some people just stay at home, baking small, thinking it's work." The room laughed, unsure if they should. Lucy's smile stayed, but it hurt. Carmen wasn't there, yet Lucy felt her shadow like Mike was performing for an audience that included her. On the way home, Lucy kept quiet, staring out the window. Mike hummed, pleased with himself. "You're too sensitive," he said. "You want me to lie that you're doing something?" Lucy's fingers dug into her handbag. "I do plenty," she whispered. Mike snorted. "Please." At home, Lucy entered the bathroom, locked the door, and slid down to the floor. Her tears came fast, hot, humiliating. She covered her mouth so the kids wouldn't hear. In the mirror, she stared at her own face and whispered, "I won't disappear." The proof didn't arrive as one big betrayal. It arrived in small alerts. 12,000 transfer, 35,000 withdrawal, a restaurant charge on a day. Mike claimed he was in meetings. Lucy's phone buzzed late at night, and each vibration felt like a slap. She checked their joint account and saw money slipping away like water. When she asked, Mike didn't explain. He attacked. "Are you monitoring me?" he shouted. "You're paranoid, Lucy. That's why people leave women like you." Lucy's heart shook, but her hands stayed calm as she started taking screenshots. The next day, Lucy said carefully, "Mike, we have school fees." "Why is money going?" Mike leaned back on the couch, scrolling. "So because you're afraid I should stop enjoying my life," he said. Lucy swallowed. "I'm not against enjoyment. I'm against lies." He laughed loud and cruel. "Lies? You want to turn yourself into detective? If you like, go to court." The word court landed like a stone. That night, Lucy created a folder in her phone, Evidence. She hated herself for needing it. She loved her children more. Noah asked the question on a morning. Lucy was already tired. She had burnt the first batch of bread because she kept thinking about Mike's late night calls. As she cleaned up, Mike shouted from the bedroom, "Where is my tie?" Lucy found it, pressed it, handed it over. Mike snatched it and muttered, "Useless." Noah stood by the door, small fists clenched. When Mike left, the house went quiet in that dangerous way. Quiet. That means someone has been wounded. Noah tugged Lucy's wrapper. "Mommy, why does Daddy shout at you?" Lucy's throat closed. She knelt, pulling Noah close until his little head rested on her chest. She could feel his heartbeat fast, anxious. "Daddy is stressed," she whispered, even though it sounded like a lie. Noah's eyes filled. "But you don't shout at him," he said. Lucy blinked hard. Maya came closer too, listening like she was learning a lesson she never asked for. Lucy kissed Noah's forehead. "Listen to me," she said softly. "In this house, love is gentle. If someone is loud, it doesn't mean they are right." Something inside her decided, quietly and firmly, my children won't learn love like this. The call came during dinner, while Noah was proudly telling a story about school and Maya was correcting him, giggling. Lucy had cooked Mike's favorite peppered chicken and rice, hoping food might soften him. Mike's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and stood quickly. "I'll be back," he said, stepping outside. Lucy watched through the window as he paced, smiling into the night like the darkness belonged to him. The laughter in his voice was a kind Lucy hadn't heard in months. Lucy's stomach dropped. She didn't need to see the name. She felt it. Carmen. When Mike returned, he sat with a different face, lighter, satisfied. Lucy tried to keep her voice steady. "Who was that?" Mike lifted his brows. "Work," he lied easily. Lucy nodded slowly. Maya stared at her plate. Noah pushed his food around, suddenly quiet. Lucy's dignity felt like it was sliding off her shoulders, one breath at a time. Later, in the bedroom, Lucy whispered, "Mike, please, don't do this to us." Mike turned his back. "Sleep," he said coldly. Lucy lay awake, listening to her own heart break quietly, carefully, so nobody would accuse her of being too much. The threats started when Lucy stopped pretending. One afternoon, she asked again about the money, and Mike's eyes turned hard. "If you keep this up, you'll regret it," he said. Lucy didn't shout. "I just want truth," she replied. Mike laughed, stepping closer. Truth? If you leave this house, you lose everything. The kids too, I will make sure. Lucy felt a chill move down her spine. She had no big family in the city. Her business was home-based. Mike knew exactly where to press. He wasn't just angry, he was strategic. And that scared her. That night, Lucy overheard him on the phone. She's acting like she has options, Mike scoffed. I'll show her. Lucy stood behind the door, trembling, hand covering her mouth. When he came in, she asked quietly, Are you threatening me? Mike's smile was thin. I'm warning you, he said. Lucy's eyes filled, but she held the tears back. Our children will hear you one day, she whispered. Mike shrugged. Children forget. Lucy walked into the kitchen and stared at the knives, not with danger, but with the sudden realization, this marriage isn't just broken, it's becoming dangerous in quiet ways. Wilma appeared at the school like a normal visitor, clipboard, calm voice, neat bun. She greeted teachers politely and asked routine questions about welfare procedures. Lucy only noticed because Maya's class teacher pulled her aside. We had a welfare officer visit, the teacher explained. It's routine, don't worry. Lucy nodded, but something about the word welfare made her stomach tighten. She watched Wilma from a distance as the woman smiled at children, speaking gently, observing quietly. Wilma's eyes were nosy. They were careful, the kind of eyes that notice what people try to hide. Later, Lucy asked Maya, how was school? Maya hesitated. Auntie came to ask if we are happy, she said. Lucy's chest squeezed. What did you say? Maya shrugged. I said we are happy, but Daddy shouts sometimes. Lucy's heart pounded. Maya, she whispered, guilt biting her. That night, Lucy sent a message to her friend. Do you know anything about court welfare officers? The reply came, they get involved when custody is contested. Lucy stared at the screen until it blurred, realizing the storm was already gathering, even if she hadn't stepped outside. Carmen came to the gate on a bright afternoon, dressed like she was attending a celebration. Lucy was kneading dough when the gate bell rang. She wiped flour off her hands and stepped out. Carmen stood there smiling, sunglasses on, lips glossy. Hi, Lucy, she said like they were friends. Lucy's chest tightened. Can I help you? Carmen laughed softly. Relax. I came to greet. Mike talks about you so much. The words were sweet, but the tone was poison. Lucy glanced around, seeing neighbors peeking. Carmen knew exactly what she was doing, making Lucy feel small in her own space. Lucy didn't fight. She didn't scream. She simply nodded once and said, Please leave. Carmen leaned in slightly. Soon, you won't be here to tell me anything, she whispered. Lucy's heart stuttered. She stepped back and locked the gate slowly, her fingers shaking. Carmen stood outside, smiling as if she'd won something. Tell Mike I passed by, she called. Lucy walked back into the house and bolted the door, then slid down against it, breathing like she had run a marathon. For hours, her body shook, not from fear of Carmen alone, but from the terrifying truth Mike had let this happen. The legal papers arrived like a slap delivered by a stranger's hand. A courier handed Lucy an envelope, and her name looked too bold on it. She opened it slowly, reading words that rearranged her life. Petition for divorce, request for custody, claim of unfitness. Her hands turned cold. Mike wanted to paint her like a danger to her own children. Brett's name sat on the letterhead, sharp, expensive, confident. The tone wasn't just legal. It was insulting, as if Lucy was already guilty. She sank onto the couch, hearing Noah laugh in the next room, and wondered how adults could be so cruel. When Mike came home, Lucy held up the papers. Why? She asked, voice cracking. Mike didn't flinch. Because I'm tired, he said. I want peace. You're always accusing. Lucy's eyes burned. You're trying to take my children. Mike shrugged. I'm trying to save them. The lie was so smooth it made Lucy dizzy. Who is Brett? She whispered. Mike smirked. A lawyer that wins. Lucy's throat tightened. And Carmen? Mike's eyes flashed. Leave her out of this. Lucy laughed once more, broken. But you've brought her into my house. David met Lucy in a modest office that smelled like paper and patience. He listened without interrupting as Lucy spoke about the insults, the money, the threats, Carmen at the gate, the court papers. Lucy expected judgment, but David's eyes stayed calm, steady. Lucy, he said finally, this won't be won by shouting. It will be won by truth. Lucy's voice trembled. He's louder. He has people. David nodded. That's why we'll build slowly. Courts respect evidence, not noise. His gentleness made Lucy cry, and she hated herself for how relieved she felt just being believed. David didn't promise miracles. He promised process, document routines. He instructed school involvement, expenses, medical visits, messages, threats. Lucy wiped tears. So I should turn my pain into paperwork. David's voice softened. You should turn your life into proof. He handed her a checklist. Start from today. Don't provoke him. Don't beg him. Stay stable. Lucy nodded, breathing shakily. What if he throws me out before court? David's jaw tightened. If he tries, call me and keep your kids' routines steady. Lucy left the office feeling fragile, but also, for the first time in months, not alone. Lucy's life became a quiet inventory. She wrote down school run times, lunch menus, homework schedules, Maya's reading struggles, Noah's allergies. She photographed receipts, groceries, uniforms, medicines. She saved voice notes where Mike shouted. She noted the nights he didn't come home. It felt strange, like she was watching her own marriage from outside her body. In between, she still baked and delivered orders, smiling at customers so they wouldn't see her shaking. Every day, she carried pain in one hand and proof in the other. What felt small began to stack up like bricks, heavy, undeniable. One evening, Maya brought her homework. Mommy, can you help? Lucy forced a smile. Of course. They sat together, pencils scratching, quiet breathing. Mike entered, glanced at them, and sneered. Teacher Lucy, he mocked. Maya flinched. Lucy's eyes lifted. Please don't, she said softly. Mike laughed. So now you have voice. Lucy returned to the book. Maya, focus. After Mike left, Maya whispered, Will Daddy leave us? Lucy's throat tightened. She pulled her closer. No one will take you from me, she promised, then wrote that night. Maya asked about abandonment. Emotional impact. Mike began rewriting Lucy's story like he was editing a script. He told friends she refused to work. He told his family Lucy was unstable. He told co-workers Lucy was too controlling. The same people who once praised Lucy's calm began looking at her like she was suspicious. Even Mike's mother started calling with cold advice. Lucy, endure, she said. A man is a man. Lucy swallowed her anger. Ma, he is threatening to take the children, Lucy whispered. The older woman sighed. Maybe you provoked him. Lucy stared at the wall, feeling betrayal, stuck on betrayal. Lies traveled faster than pain. At a family gathering, Mike's sister pulled Lucy aside. Why are you embarrassing Mike? She hissed. Lucy blinked. I'm not, Lucy said. He filed court papers. The sister rolled her eyes. Men don't do that for no reason. Lucy felt her hands shake. She wanted to scream, but she remembered David's warning. Stability matters. Instead, she breathed. I'm fighting for my children, she said quietly. Later, Mike approached with a fake smile. See how everyone knows you're the problem? He whispered. Lucy's eyes filled. One day, truth will be louder than you, she murmured. Mike chuckled. In your dreams. Carmen began dressing like victory had already been delivered. She posted pictures in sleek outfits with captions that sounded like threats wrapped in motivation. Entering my season. New keys soon. Lucy tried not to look, but the internet had a cruel way of placing Carmen in her face. Carmen even posted a photo of a fancy dinner, 2 glasses, one masculine hand with a watch Lucy recognized. Lucy's stomach turned. Mike denied everything with a smile. You are addicted to stress, he told her. But Carmen's confidence wasn't just social media. It was in her voice, in the way she moved, like Lucy's home was already hers. One afternoon, Carmen called Lucy directly. Lucy stared at the ringing phone as if it could bite. She answered, voice careful. Hello? Carmen laughed softly. Lucy, it's Carmen. Don't panic. Lucy's heart pounded. Why are you calling me? Carmen's tone turned sweetly cruel. I just wanted to advise you. Stop fighting. Mike deserves happiness. You should move on with dignity. Lucy's mouth went dry. Dignity? She whispered. Carmen sighed dramatically. Yes, because when court ends, you'll be forced out anyway. Lucy's hand shook. You're enjoying this, Lucy said. Carmen didn't deny it. She simply said, see you soon, and ended the call. Maya overheard Mike on the phone by accident. She had gone to the living room to pick up her water bottle when she heard Mike's voice low, angry, confident. I will take them, he said. She thinks she can hold my children hostage. Maya froze behind the curtain, small body trembling. Mike continued. Once court finishes, I'll remove her completely. Maya's eyes filled. She didn't understand custody or court. She only understood the feeling of being taken away from the one person who felt safe. She ran back to her room quietly, holding her breath like the sound itself could betray her. That night, Maya crawled into Lucy's bed, shaking. Lucy woke up startled. Maya, what's wrong? Maya whispered. Daddy said he would take us. Lucy's chest tightened so hard it hurt. She sat up, pulling Maya close. Where did you hear that? Maya's lips trembled. On phone. Lucy's heart burned with rage and fear, but she kept her voice gentle. Listen, my love, she whispered. Adults say terrible things when they want control, but nobody will snatch you away like a bag. Maya clung to her. Lucy kissed her hair and stared into the darkness, feeling the fight become real in a new way. It wasn't just her heart on the line. It was theirs. There were days Lucy felt like giving up. She would stare at the court papers and think, maybe I should just leave quietly. Maybe I should let him win, just to stop the noise. Her baking orders began to feel heavy. Her hands shook while piping icing. Her smile for customers felt fake. One morning, Noah spilled juice, and Lucy snapped not loudly, but enough to scare herself. Noah's eyes widened. Lucy immediately pulled him into a hug, whispering, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. She realized stress was stealing her softness, and she hated it. Mike's war was working. Lucy met David again, voice low, eyes swollen. I can't do this, she confessed. He's destroying my mind. David leaned forward, calm and firm. Lucy, you're tired, not weak, he said. But if you surrender out of exhaustion, they'll call it evidence. Lucy's tears fell. How do I survive this? David's voice softened. Routine, support. Don't react the way they want. Lucy sniffed. He provokes me. David nodded. That's the point. Stay steady. Let him be the storm. Lucy wiped her face. And if I collapse? David held her gaze. Then we build you back up. But we don't hand them your children because you're human. Lucy nodded, shaky but awake again. The night before court, Lucy returned from a delivery earlier than expected. She approached the house quietly, keys in hand, and heard voices through the living room window. Mike was practicing like an actor rehearsing a role. She's unstable, he said, pretending to address a judge. Brett's voice answered, sharp and proud. Good. Say it with concern, not anger. Carmen laughed. Yes, Mike, look sad, like you tried. Lucy's stomach turned. Carmen was there in Lucy's space, discussing Lucy like she was a problem to remove. Lucy's hands went numb on the gate handle. She stood outside, listening, heartbreaking in slow motion. Brett continued. When they ask about the kids, keep it general. Don't admit you're absent. Mike chuckled. Who cares? Court is about power. Carmen's voice purred. After you win, throw her things out fast. I don't want her smell in that house. Lucy's breath caught. She backed away, tears blinding her, then walked to the corner of the street and sat on the curb like a forgotten child. The humiliation wasn't just that Mike cheated. It was that he was planning her erasure with the woman he cheated with. Lucy wiped her face, stood up slowly, and whispered to herself, You want to remove me? You have to remove truth first. Morning arrived like a heavy curtain. Lucy woke before the alarm, eyes burning from sleeplessness. She bathed quietly, dressed simply, and packed the kids' lunches like it was any other day because children needed normal even when adults were breaking. Maya watched her with worried eyes. Lucy forced a smile. I'm going to talk to some people today, she said gently. Noah asked, Will you come back? Lucy's throat tightened. Yes, she promised, hugging him tightly. She kissed their foreheads like it might be her last peaceful moment, then handed them to a neighbor she trusted for school drop-off. Her hands trembled as she locked the door. David called as Lucy entered the car. Breathe, he said. Remember, calm is your armor. Lucy swallowed hard. What if the judge believes them? David's voice stayed steady. Truth has weight. We're bringing it. Lucy stared out the window as Lagos moved around her people, selling, laughing, living while her own life felt like it was on trial. She remembered Mike's threats and Carmen's whisper at the gate. Her stomach twisted. At the courthouse entrance, she paused, palms sweating. David met her there, handing her a bottle of water. You're not alone, he said. Lucy nodded, clinging to those words as if they were a rope. Mike arrived dressed like victory, sharp suit, polished shoes, smug calm. Carmen hovered near him, not officially beside him, but close enough to be seen. Brett walked with the confidence of a man who enjoyed breaking people. In the corridor, Mike's phone rang, and he answered loudly, on purpose, voice booming. Throw her things away in winning in court, he declared, laughing. Today, Judge, go give me custody. Make she no even carry spoon commode for that house. Carmen, you dey here. Today, we free. Heads turned. Some people stared. Some pretended not to hear. Lucy stood behind him, shaking, feeling every word like a slap. Carmen smirked when she spotted Lucy. Her eyes said, Watch. Lucy's heart pounded, but she refused to beg. David leaned close and whispered, Don't react. Lucy's nails dug into her palm. Mike turned slightly, noticing her, and smiled like a bully who enjoyed the fear he caused. Ah, Lucy, he said sweetly. You came. Lucy lifted her chin. I'm here for my children, she replied softly. Mike scoffed, turning away. Carmen whispered to Brett, laughing quietly. Lucy swallowed hard and followed David into the courtroom, every step feeling like she was walking into fire with only her dignity as protection. Inside court, Brett rose like he owned the room. His voice was smooth, dramatic, and dripping with manufactured concern. My lord, he began, this is a case of a troubled wife, unstable, overly emotional, jobless, who cannot provide a safe environment for the children. Mike sat with a sad face, nodding like a saint who had suffered quietly. Carmen sat behind them, satisfied, eyes bright with anticipation. Lucy's stomach twisted. Brett displayed selected screenshots, Lucy's late-night messages asking Mike to come home, her words desperate. He framed desperation as madness. She harasses him, Brett claimed. She creates chaos. Lucy's hands shook as she listened to her pain being dressed as evidence against her. When it was Lucy's turn to speak, Brett interrupted, objecting loudly. My lord, she is trying to manipulate the court with tears. Lucy's eyes burned, but she forced herself to breathe. The judge watched, expression unreadable. Mike glanced back at Carmen, subtle smile like their corridor celebration was already becoming real. Lucy's chest tightened, not just from fear, but from the humiliation of being misrepresented. David stood slowly, calm, and respectful. My lord, he said, we will respond with facts, not theater. Brett laughed. Facts? From a woman who bakes at home. David didn't flinch. Yes, he replied quietly. Facts from the woman who raises the children. David did not shout. He did not posture. He asked slow questions that built like footsteps approaching a door. Mr. Mike, he said, what is the children's school term fee? Mike blinked. It's around. Brett jumped in. My lord, this is irrelevant. David turned to the judge. With respect, it is directly relevant to who provides. The judge nodded slightly. Mike cleared his throat. I pay it. David asked, how much? Mike guessed. David quietly presented receipts with Lucy's name and payments. Mike's jaw tightened. Carmen's posture shifted, her smile thinning. David continued gently. Who attends PTA meetings? Mike shrugged. Sometimes we both. David asked. Name the last one. Mike paused too long. David asked about medical records, allergies, routines, and school pickups. Mike's answers became fog, general, careless. Brett tried to rescue him, objecting, but the judge kept allowing the questions. Lucy sat still, Brett shallow, amazed at how truth could be assembled like bricks. David's voice remained calm. My lord, we can't discuss custody as a trophy, he said. We must discuss custody as responsibility. Mike's confident mask began to crack, and Lucy felt a small flicker of hope she was afraid to trust. The judge didn't speak much, but her silence was loud. She watched Mike's eyes when questions came, watched his pauses, watched the way Brett answered for him too quickly. Then she leaned forward and asked Mike directly, voice steady. What time do your children wake up on school days? Mike blinked. Around 6, he said quickly. The judge's gaze sharpened. Which one wakes up first? Mike hesitated. They wake together. A small murmur moved in the courtroom. Lucy's eyes stung because she knew Noah always woke first, rubbing his eyes and asking for water before the sun fully rose. Mike didn't know because he wasn't there. The judge asked again, what is your daughter's favorite meal? Mike swallowed. Anything. Carmen's confidence faltered. The judge's eyes moved to Lucy, then back to Mike. Name their class teachers, she demanded. Mike looked helplessly at Brett. Brett jumped up. My lord, the father is a busy man. The judge raised a hand. Sit down, she said calmly, but firmly. Brett sat. The judge looked at Mike again. Busy does not mean absent, she said. Mike's throat bobbed. Lucy sat still, feeling the courtroom finally see the gap between performance and parenting. When the judge turned to Lucy, Lucy stood slowly, palms sweating. Her voice was soft, but it carried truth. My lord, the judge said, answer the same questions. Lucy nodded. Maya wakes at 6:30 because she likes to wash her face slowly, Lucy explained. Noah wakes around 5:50. He asks for water first. Then he runs to the kitchen. The judge asked about meals. Lucy answered. Maya loves jollof with boiled egg. Noah can't take too much milk. It upsets his stomach. She named teachers, routines, homework schedules, and the lullaby Noah demanded when he was sick. She wasn't showing off. She was simply describing her life. As Lucy spoke, Carmen's face tightened because there was no place for her fantasy inside the details of real motherhood. Mike stared like he was hearing facts he should have known. Brett tried to interrupt. My lord, she's rehearsed. The judge's eyes flashed. Enough, she said. Lucy's throat tightened, tears threatening, but she held them back. She finished, voice shaking slightly. My lord, I'm not perfect, she admitted, but I'm present. My children know where to find me. The courtroom fell quiet. Lucy sat down slowly, feeling exposed, but also strangely protected, like truth had formed a shield around her. A pause dropped into the courtroom, thick, heavy, decisive. The judge leaned back, eyes narrowing slightly as if weighing the air itself. Brett whispered to Mike, urgent. Carmen shifted, impatient. Lucy's heartbeat pounded in her ears. David squeezed his pen lightly, calm as stone. Then the judge leaned forward again. Her voice was clear and final, the kind of voice that made people sit up without thinking. Bring the children in. 5 words. The room froze. Mike's confidence slipped for the first time, like a mask sliding off a sweaty face. Brett stood quickly. My lord, that is unnecessary. The judge raised her hand. Sit, she ordered. Mike's lips parted. My lord, the judge caught him. Custody is not a speech contest, she said. It is a matter of the children's welfare. Lucy's chest squeezed painfully. She hadn't brought the children because she didn't want them traumatized. The thought of them entering this cold courtroom made her stomach turn. David leaned close. It will be gentle, he whispered. Trust the process. Lucy swallowed hard, blinking back tears. Carmen's eyes darted, suddenly uncertain. She had expected drama, not reality. The judge signaled to the court welfare staff, and the doors became a threshold Lucy never wanted her children to cross. Wilma returned like a familiar shadow, calm, firm, and careful. She walked out and came back with Maya and Noah, holding their hands lightly, speaking in a soothing voice. Maya's eyes were wide, scanning the room like it was a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Noah clung to Wilma's hand, his small shoulders stiff. Lucy's heart shattered. She wanted to run to them, scoop them up, leave the world behind, but she stayed seated, trembling, because she didn't want to scare them more. Wilma guided them to a side seat, kneeling briefly to whisper, You're safe. Just answer honestly. Mike's face changed when he saw them, shock first, then fear, then something like embarrassment. Carmen's smile disappeared completely. She looked away, adjusting her bag like she suddenly remembered she didn't belong. Wilma nodded respectfully to the judge, then to Lucy, her eyes saying, I'll protect them from unnecessary harm. Lucy blinked hard, tears burning. Maya looked at Lucy, silently asking, Why am I here? Lucy mouthed, It's okay, forcing strength into her face. Noah's lip trembled. The judge's voice softened slightly. Children, she said gently, I won't hurt you. I just need to understand who takes care of you. Lucy held her breath, like it was the only way to stay standing. The judge spoke to them as if she was speaking to her own nieces, clear, gentle, not intimidating. Maya, she asked, who helps you with homework? Maya glanced at Lucy, then whispered, Mommy. The judge nodded. Who packs your lunch? Maya answered again, Mommy. The judge turned to Noah. When you're sick, who stays with you? Noah's eyes filled. Mommy, he said, voice shaking. Daddy is always outside. A hush swept the courtroom. Lucy's throat tightened as tears finally slid down, silent and uncontrollable. David offered her a tissue without looking dramatic. The judge asked Mike, Do you dispute their statements? Mike swallowed hard. Brett tried to speak. The judge stopped him with a look. Mike's voice came out weak. My lord, I work. The judge nodded slowly. Work is not parenting, she said. Maya suddenly blurted, Daddy shouts at Mommy. Noah added quietly, and he says we will go. Mike's face went pale. Carmen shifted uncomfortably because children don't lie for adult romance. Lucy's hands shook in her lap, not from victory, but from the pain of hearing her children speak fear out loud. The truth felt holy and heartbreaking at once. Outside the courtroom during a short break, Carmen's mask cracked completely. She pulled Mike aside, voice sharp and angry. "You said you were a present father," she hissed. Mike's eyes flashed. "Not now, Carmen," he snapped. Carmen laughed bitterly. "Not now. You promised me a clean win. You promised she would be removed today." Mike clenched his jaw. "Brett said we could." Carmen cut him. "Brett? So your life is controlled by lawyers now?" Mike's face tightened with shame and rage. Nearby, Lucy stood with David, listening without looking. The humiliation Carmen planned for Lucy was spilling back onto Mike in public. Carmen paced, heels clicking like panic. "Do you know what people will say if you lose?" she demanded. "They will laugh at us." Mike's eyes hardened. "So you care about people?" he asked. Carmen scoffed. "Of course, that's the whole point." Mike looked at her like he was seeing her fully for the first time. Ambition without compassion. Hunger without loyalty. Carmen's voice softened suddenly, calculating. "Mike, fix it. Offer Lucy settlement. Anything." Mike stared past Carmen toward the corridor, where Lucy had stood shaking earlier. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Carmen's love was loud, but it was not safe. And in that moment, Mike realized his pride had dragged him into a place where even his mistress could no longer respect him. Back in court, the judge's voice carried authority that didn't need volume. She spoke about stability, routine, and the emotional safety of children. She addressed Mike directly. "You cannot use custody as punishment," she said, "and you cannot erase a mother who is clearly present." Mike's shoulders slumped. Brett tried one last performance, insisting Lucy was overly emotional. The judge looked unimpressed. "Her emotions do not negate her care," she said. Then she delivered the ruling. Lucy would have primary custody, and Mike would have structured visitation, supervised at first, until he demonstrated consistent involvement and appropriate behavior. Lucy's breath caught. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. The judge also ordered a review of the home arrangement based on contributions and stability, warning both parties against intimidation. Any attempt to throw her out unlawfully will attract consequences, she said. Mike's mouth opened, then closed. Carmen's face tightened because the fantasy of marching into Lucy's home ended right there. Lucy felt her knees weaken, not from pride, but from the release of months of fear. David whispered, "You did well." Lucy nodded, tears rolling. Mike stared ahead, stunned, as if the room had turned against him. But it wasn't the room, it was reality. And reality doesn't bow to arrogance just because it is loud. In the same corridor where Mike had bragged into his phone, he now stood silent, hands trembling slightly, eyes unfocused. Brett spoke angrily in low tones about appeal and strategy, but Mike barely heard him. Carmen stood a few steps away, furious, embarrassed, already distancing herself. "You ruined this," she muttered. Mike didn't answer. Lucy walked out slowly with David and Wilma. Wilma guided Maya and Noah gently, making sure they weren't overwhelmed. Lucy knelt and opened her arms. The children ran into her, and she held them so tightly it felt like she was stitching her heart back together. She didn't gloat. She just cried quiet, relieved tears. As they walked toward the exit, Maya looked up. "Mommy, are we going home?" Lucy kissed her forehead. "Yes," she whispered. Noah sniffed. "Will Daddy shout again?" Lucy swallowed, then said softly, "Not like before. We have rules now." Wilma nodded approvingly. Outside, the sun looked the same, but Lucy felt different, lighter, stronger, bruised, but standing. She glanced back once and saw Mike watching, alone in the corridor of his own arrogance. Lucy didn't smile, she didn't curse him. She simply turned away, choosing peace over noise. And for the first time in a long time, the house began to feel warm again because love was finally louder than fear. We've come to the end of the story. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like, share, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification. Thank you so much for watching.